This conference will now be recorded.
All right, bang the hammer, we'll call a meeting to order, do the pledge. Over here. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do your prayer.
We might be. Oh Lord, as we gather this day to do the important business for the people of the village of Owego, grant us wisdom, compassion, and understanding.
Amen. All right, so first item, we have a public hearing on the budget. Is there anybody here for the public hearing on the budget? Okay. On the budget topic, we need to schedule a special meeting next month.
So that's what's happening.
Correct.
We're still working on the fine points. We want to get it as old as we can.
You want the motion for that now, Mike?
Yeah.
Let me close the public.
Yep, sorry.
It says no more.
Are we closing the public hearing or adjourning it till next week?
What are you guys gonna do?
Adjourning it till next week. We don't,
Okay.
7:04.
Good.
did you need a motion for that? No, we just did that straight.
We did
About
that,
the
yeah,
adjourning
so
for next week. Okay.
just a motion to.
This is to
set
have a
the
meeting.
meeting next week.
Move that we have a special meeting next Monday at 7
o'clock.
o'clock.
Right here. Same place.
Same time, same that channel.
Every week.
I'll second.
Every week, yeah. That's how June works, every week. All right. Rusty?
I moved.
Yep. She seconded. Rusty?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And yes. All right, so then the next item is public comment. Public comment?
You know what I'm gonna complain about?
Parking on page?
That parking on Page Street Saturday, that was ridiculous.
We don't have,
At one point, there was 20 cars parked out there. And I don't think it's right that people who live on Page Street get things stuck on their cars. You've gotta move, you gotta be off the street by this time, or you're gonna get ticketed or towed. Just for people who don't live in town to come in and park on the other side of the street that's no parking, not get ticketed, not get towed, nothing happens to them.
you know,
And when I mentioned it to a couple of people, I said, there's no parking over there, like, but everybody else is doing it.
so I know we, have a follow-up meeting about the Strawberry Fest to talk about what went good, what went bad, so I'll definitely bring that up, because I noticed it too.
I mean, the rest of it I didn't have a problem with, it's just that parking there.
Yeah, and like you said, they parked on the wrong side of the road too.
Yeah. I mean,
Came around
to
the
me,
corner, I was
that's not-
like, what?
I thought the whole idea of it was to keep that street clear, so
Right,
they could divert traffic
That is-
around the
that is the
festival.
point.
And it didn't divert very well, because people turning off of Main Street couldn't get onto Page Street, because the cars that were parked there, another car here.
It was worse than it normally is.
Was it
Yeah.
posted? Was it posted?
It was the side where it's parking, where people usually park, there was no parking signs all the way down the street. The other side of the street is all year round.
Okay,
Yeah,
There's
so
no parking all the
we
way down
post
the
that.
street.
maybe we post both sides next year.
Maybe, I mean, the other side's already marked with
Yeah.
regular signs. so-
I mean, one car was parked right underneath the no parking sign.
We will have, I don't like to speak in public comment, but we will have a long conversation with ourselves, with the police about the whole village and parking. And
There was cars everywhere.
Yeah, they
Which
parked,
was
they
good,
parked
but bad.
everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should have like one officer assigned to parking tickets for the day.
We're making sure people know where they kept parking. Because there was cars all over the place, which is okay, but good that people came. Bad to try to get it done. Any other public comment? Kevin?
I just came, I saw that the Climate Smart Community entry by the village is on the agenda, and I would just like to support that concept in the village entering the Climate Smart Communities, getting access to grants that could help the village weather a storm in the future. You know, we came very close to a very bad flood in Christmas Eve. I mean, we were like 2 feet away, and I was just talking to somebody, you know, if a cold flood on Christmas Eve and Christmas is a whole lot worse than warm weather in September, and it would have been a big problem.
Yes, it would have.
So I would just like to support the village entering that.
I second that.
All right.
To say something.
Yeah, I second that, yeah. Well, they know that I've been involved.
Yeah, we know.
If you have questions in the other section, you guys know that I support this.
All right, any other public comment? I know you guys are on the agenda, so.
Just a quick one back about parking and enforcement. I don't think you need to be a police officer to give out parking tickets. You could even have a parking enforcement officer for that day or for any day that you expect a lot of illegal parking.
In a previous meeting, we talked about raising the very low parking fees. Has any action been taken on that? Because $20 is really not enough to deter somebody from illegally parking. Is there a reason why we're not?
Good, because it's only 10.
It's 10, yeah, so it's really not. So, I mean, it's not a deterrent, it doesn't hurt enough. So is there a reason why there isn't action to change it?
No, other than we're trying to look at all of our fees, not just parking fees, building permit fees, street opening fees. So,
Park fees.
yeah, they're all need to be updated.
So is there a plan, a timeline to do that?
Not set yet. It's on our list of stuff we gotta do.
Like old Officer Winchell, give me a gator and a ticket this next year, I'll drive around, ticket everyone.
Be careful what you volunteer for.
You might need a vet.
You never know, I might be able to serve a couple of evictions on the way.
Yeah. All right, so any other public comment? All right, we'll move on to, we're gonna skip a couple things and go to parade permits for historic Owego Marketplace. I'm sure they don't want to hang out in the meeting.
So we decided we want to have a new event this year called Porch Fest. I ran it by OPD, they're on board with it. And I also put the Halloween Fest in there too, just because those are two known dates that we want to do this.
Okay.
Our thought right now for Porch Fest is to close, I don't know if we're gonna do both, but
Yeah.
we want to request Page and Ross Street,
Okay.
just closed from front to main as a kind of segue for people walking down front. Front they'll use the sidewalk, main they'll use sidewalk. But we'd like to set up a vendor row on one of those streets.
Okay.
What are the dates?
The Porch Fest is August 6th, and the Halloween Fest is October 28th. And the Halloween Fest is Lake Street only, just like last year. Just main to front, that one little section for the kids.
I guess the Porch Fest thing, my only concern, how do people get in and out of their houses if they have to?
So worst case, I was thinking, because we have vendors already, but I'm sure houses on Page Street too, if they're already doing bands, or even the ones on Main and Front, offering up their lawns to the vendor as well.
Okay.
So that's like my plan B.
I've also asked Owego Methodist if they would allow us to let vendor parking in there, and we're pretty sure that they're on board with that. So that's a comeback I can bring to you guys if you need, but they seem very open to the idea because there's no issues on a Saturday.
Okay.
Spaces.
Rusty has a million questions, I'm sure.
You betcha. I'm, as usual, and this is the Saturday, August 6th, so it's not right now.
Saturday or Sunday?
I'm not
Saturday.
comfortable with doing that until we go and talk to those people on Ross Street. I'm not comfortable with closing their street down for this
Which is fine. That's why we want to come
without
super
speaking.
early.
Yeah, right, gotta get to us early.
Yeah.
I would prefer to do that.
Cause there's enough side streets, I feel like, where maybe one street would say yes, but worst case, like, we have the Elks on board, so we put the vendors, that like, there's so many options for where the vendors could go if we need them to go somewhere else. That's not really super.
So,
I think that, I mean, we're on board, I think Schaefer's and Bixby's.
Yeah, I have like most of your neighbors.
Right, so that block of front, I think we're pretty amenable.
I just don't wanna like close a big main street.
Yeah, but do you have to close it because there's sidewalks?
What do you mean?
I mean, do you have to?
Oh, we were just doing that for vendors.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
we're
were,
gonna
we
do a
were
whole
gonna
street
try
of
to
shopping
make a
and
vendor,
food and-
like, market.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, I see, so you still want
Yes.
bands on more porches?
Yes.
Yes. And
Gotcha.
then vendors.
I did
and-
not understand that, because I was gonna say we would offer porches, so.
Oh,
you-
yeah, no.
You want more porches, you just.
Oh, I'll
want
take more porches
vendors.
too, yeah.
And just a little segue for them to go from front to main,
Yeah,
kind of makes.
cause I think the Binghamton one's a little too spaced out, not really any home base.
And do you have food trucks? Food
I have food vendors.
Food vendors. Great plan.
I have a question for people that might want to apply for bands and so on for the Porch Fest. Are these numbers here on this application good for that, or is there?
The
another
best
number?
place they can go is on Facebook. It's under Owego Porch
I brought
Fest
some,
2022. Oh, that goes right to it.
that's your cute.
Yeah, I have all three links,
So I can give you guys a couple of these,
because we need
and
porches.
then just scan that, and then there's an application for host a band or a vendor. Or a
Okay, well,
band.
as long as it's good,
Okay.
you give it to other people.
Yeah.
Rather than,
I'm sure people would stop here at the office asking.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh, yeah, sounds like perfect.
This one.
Yeah, he's like.
Done OG.
Okay.
What is your wine bar? Have you used the wine bar?
Yeah, it opened for Strawberry Fest. I did 2 days, but now we are open for good. So Thursday and Sunday.
Did you do a good during the strawberry?
I did.
which business is that?
It's on
Thursday to Sunday.
Lake Street.
Thursday,
The
Sunday.
wine bar on Lake
Okay.
Street?
Thursday and Friday open. Saturday and Sunday open.
Will there be like a beer tent kind of thing for the Porch Fest?
No,
No.
it's usually Sundays. Most places like Binghamton does Sundays. I think Ithaca does Sundays, but I figured Saturday's better because I have the whole lineup on like Main and Front, and then our headliners are gonna be at Elks, and they're all gonna be at the same time, so it'll move everyone downtown, and then everyone can go to Barleycorn, restaurants, eat, shop still. I'm gonna talk to all the shop owners.
It kind of push everyone back into the
Yeah.
village for,
And Sunday, I figure they're all
evening.
closed, so Saturday.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if we're gonna have issues with.
No, keep them
No.
all local downtown.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
we wanted to keep this kind of small to start, like a mini, just to kind of feel it out. We've gotten good traction from the public and everybody on Front Street in Maine. So, yeah, we kind of want to just,
It'll be a chill day.
yeah, not make it too big and have it just kind of a chill time and not offer too much, just a little bit of food, a little bit of maker market, and a lot of music.
Yeah.
Oh, they have a target number of groups you can run?
No, as many as we can get.
And they're all fairly small.
Yeah, I have a lot of people who play in a band and then they're just
Doing a solo.
doing a solo set later kind of thing, but
And each set is 90 minutes, so that it's not too long. It'll kind of flow, overlap a little bit, but yeah, just enough to give people some recognition.
And are we bringing in porta johns?
I think we talked about having them
talked
like
about
St.
that.
Pat's or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
talking about the St. Pat's parking lot maybe being another option for tents if we need to, but
Right.
porta potties or something.
You have the connections. like
Yeah, I'll
that's
call
great.
them.
I guess, I wonder if we really need a plan, like we had kind of with Strawberry Fest, but not really, with, between the police department and you guys, as far as, you know, kind of staffing do we need, EMS, fire, that kind of stuff. Fire, police, what do we do if there's a tornado or
Sure.
The incident plan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess get ahold of Jeff. He's good at putting those together.
Okay.
I assume you guys know him from Strawberry Fest, Officer Winchell.
Oh, yeah.
Especially
Or
with
bugs.
the DMV closing on sections. You know, pylons,
Yeah,
barriers.
if we close streets, obviously.
So to talk to residents and stuff, how do you communicate that to see, is that a door-to-door thing or,
Yeah, usually we just go talk to them.
okay. Is that something you guys have to do or we can do or,
Probably a combination of both.
okay. So maybe type up a flyer,
Okay.
something similar to this and just ask them if they have any opposition to it?
I guess, or, yeah, concerns, I don't know.
Okay.
Trying to get everybody on board here.
And to be honest, I don't even know if we need both streets.
I don't either, yeah. I was thinking just page,
Just
just
page.
one of them, yeah.
Yeah, I put this together a couple of months ago before we got crazy with Strawberry Fest, so we weren't really sure what we were looking at, so I think we'd be happy with just page if you wanna modify our request.
Well, we've got some time to kind of figure it out.
Okay, yeah, that's why we wanted to come and talk to you guys first.
Get our plans in place.
Oh, okay.
So do we need to tentatively say that we agree with that date? And we want more information in another couple weeks?
Yeah, I guess we can.
I would prefer not to, just got here. I prefer not to make a decision this evening. I prefer to talk about a number of the things that are involved about this.
We'll come back with more information at our next meeting, which is July 5th. Happens to be another Tuesday.
So our action is to do a petition for Page Street residents.
Yeah, just, get their
Maybe Lake
feel,
Street
See
too?
if they feel.
survey kind of thing.
We can drop Ross, I mean,
Yeah, I know, I wasn't
I
even
think-
thinking that.
yeah.
And worst case, we get to see what St. Pat's feels like and just
Okay.
maybe go with them, because that's middle,
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, actually, you get the connection between
yeah, pretty easy.
the two streets through St. Pat's.
Instead of, I don't
Get
wanna
them on board.
ruin anyone's
Okay.
parking either.
But are you guys okay with Halloween Fest?
Yeah, she's gonna do that.
Which is that?
The second one, October 28th?
I don't have a thing for that. Is that in here?
Yeah.
I
On the other side of this.
did.
Okay.
Same
Which is-
exact thing we did last
Same as
year.
last year. And I know last year we went door to door on Lake Street and asked everybody. Nobody really had an issue with
So
that. I
we
think it went pretty well last year.
this is a new one. This is not Lights on the River or anything. This is a new one for Halloween, the one we did last year for
Last
Halloween.
year, yeah.
But we did this last year, right?
Yes.
Is it this, I just glazed that, is it the same times as we had last year, like?
It's the same
Hours?
Friday. It's the Friday before Halloween, same time, 5 to 9.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. About the same route.
Just Lake Street so the kids can like run around to all
Shops and
the
stuff.
shops and the tents and, yes.
I'm
Oh,
asking
your
him.
question.
I'm asking him, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Rusty.
You just raised your hand.
Yeah.
I did,
We'll
to the
answer
chair,
it.
to the chair. What do I know? Does this one on Halloween have vendors and food booths on Lake Street?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm just gonna have to say this stuff. When we continue to put more and more things on, and they're nice for the village and they're nice for people that come, but the people that sell stuff and the people that sell food don't exactly appreciate vendors here all the time.
I've asked them every year, they're first,
They have
To get
first
anything, yeah.
opportunity to pull something out on the street, to
Yes.
sell what
And
they
I
want
got-
in front of their store.
Yeah, they have that.
yeah. I don't put anyone in front of a food vendor, I don't try to get any food vendors that would, like, I'm gonna get a pizza truck or a cellar-esque truck or anything like that. If anything, we get popcorn or some kind of cookie thing, Halloween-y. And if someone downtown says no and they're not gonna be open for it, gotta fill that gap some other way, so. I do.
We totally have that in mind because we're both business
Yeah,
owners.
and I walked around Lake Street way before I even came here last time for Halloween and made sure everyone had something in mind or something they wanted to do to get a feel before I even came here, so I got pretty good feedback from most people.
Yeah, I know we did research last year, and nobody had an issue.
The merchants, the food places don't, because I talked to all the merchants and for Strawberry Festival, and almost nobody that serves food in the village of Owego on Strawberry Festival makes any money, and they may or may not like the festival, they may or not like the things that it brings to Owego, but they don't like their business not making money on that day and other food vendors coming in. Maybe that's not your experience, but that's what I get when I go around and talk to them. So I just have that concern
Yeah, for
about
sure.
vendors and stuff. Just wanted, it needs to be said.
But on the other hand, don't you think they get recognized as a business at some point and people come back to the village? Like, oh my God, that's a really cool pizza place. I didn't have time to go in for Strawberry Fest, but I will come back and check it out because it'll be a different vibe.
No comment.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway.
I don't have any problem with the Halloween one. It went pretty well last year.
It was a big turnout, it was crazy.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah, I was surprised.
The Halloween contest was amazing.
Yeah,
We had so
I
many
didn't think
people
anyone
that
was gonna
were-
show up in costume, and I was like, what?
I know.
Rusty?
And Halloween is great and it's for kids, so yeah,
Yeah.
that has all that extra special good feel about it.
That was fun. We should also, we'll have to do an incident plan for that
For that one.
one, especially with how many people.
Incident
showed up last
plan.
year.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I propose that we approve the Halloween, block party on, Lake Street for Friday night, October the 28th, held by the historic marketplace.
I'll second it.
And second. Yeah, that's a good idea. Fran should consider amending that. So Fran should consider amending that to put a condition in there of a submission of an incident plan, like at least a month beforehand.
Okay, so, accept the proposed, block party for Halloween on October the 28th, Friday, October the 28th, with submission of, more concrete plans within the next month,
No, a month before the event.
month before the event, okay?
So,
For an incident, the incident.
Oh,
Plan.
September
it's by
28th.
September, yeah.
We owe you that, okay.
Condition of the, need an incident plan at least a month before the event.
And I would probably want that incident plan approved by the police department, and so like an approved incident plan
Done.
by the chief of police.
Well, they write it.
Yeah, well, right. I hate for them to be like,
They
all right,
write.
here's our one day
Yeah.
incident plan.
Yeah.
We'll approve that one.
Yeah, well,
Okay, approved incident plan for the OPD. Got it. By September 28th. Okay.
Ed, do you re-second that?
Yes.
It's on
Okay. Any discussion about that? Rusty?
I'll just do it because you don't discuss in the middle of a vote. As you know, the way I am, I have more questions and stuff, so I'll probably vote against this with the likelihood that 4 people will approve this now, but I have to vote against it because of the way that I think about these things and the questions that I need asked for me.
So Rusty?
No.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes,
Ed?
Yes.
And yes. So, and you'll come back next July 5th?
Mhm.
And
For
we'll-
Porch Fest.
and we'll gather more information between then and now.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right. Next item, we'll go backwards. Department head reports.
was dispatched to 102 EMS calls. We provided standby coverage for the Strawberry Festival Friday night and Saturday. We had 14 volunteers on Friday night, 21 on Saturday throughout the day. Administration-wise, Becky passed her New York State Practical Skills Exam for AEMT. She's awaiting the written test from New York State. We ordered our third power lift that we received from grants, about a 12-week lead time. I would suspect it's probably gonna be longer than that. The monitors received their yearly maintenance. We sent our closeout paperwork to the State Department of Health for the Strawberry Festival. Under general membership, Aiden Flynn that just joined about 4 or 5 months ago, he resigned, moved to Washington State. And from a canvas letter we did from underperforming members, we had 4 resignations that you'll see there. Vehicles, as of yesterday, 31, 32, 33 are all up and running, no known issues. 33's engine is replaced and is back in service. And I don't know if it was mentioned last month, but at least it's on paper. 51 had the recall work done on the passenger side airbag, and there's no known issues.
That was a quick engine.
Yes, they
It's all in
do.
operation.
They do real quick work at that one location. I think they've done it a few times.
Yeah, a couple.
Yep.
All right, anybody have anything for Paul?
Just so we have it on the record, I think the minutes ought to reflect who the grantor was for the power lift, because it was $29,000.
Where did the grant come from?
Yes, the one that's on order, that was, the second one that was on order came from Mildred Faulkner Truman, and the third power lift, the money came from the Hyde Foundation.
Both good organizations.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, we're striving to use our 501c3 for the best for the community here.
And isn't Stephanie also working on another grant for CPR equipment?
That or something else, we're still up in the air on that. That's for one of the other grant providing organizations that's in the neighborhood.
She's done wonderful work with the grants.
Almost 100% success rate.
Yeah.
Almost.
That's hard to do.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else have anything for Paul? Yes. Tracy?
Everybody has my activity report for the 2 weeks. One other thing, the snow and ice guard for 90 Temple building, we finally received the approval from the state. Since the grant was issued for that building, any modifications to the building now needs to get their approval. We just received approval for that, so the contractor's been notified, it's moving forward. So they should be installed by no problem next winter season when they're needed. And that's really all I have, other than if anybody's got questions on a couple of motions when we get there.
Okay. Rusty?
I can't remember now because too many things. Are the stone ice guards part of the new grant? They're not, they're part of something we're already paying for out of other ARPA money.
They're coming out of the ARPA.
Okay, yeah.
Well, we had to get them approved.
I don't know, I understand. Everything has to be approved by the state now because of the grant.
But no, they're not part of the grant.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I remember.
Be nice if they were.
Yeah. Well, then we wouldn't get them for 3 years. Okay.
I know,
Okay.
Be a lot more paperwork. Anybody else have anything for Tracy? Rusty?
Can we do the, any motions that have to do with the sewer so that Tracy can go?
Sure. So we've got, just one really, pay increase for obtaining CDL.
I'll make that motion.
All right.
Let me just look real quick.
We're on the,
It's the first.
The very first motion, right?
On the agenda.
Yeah, it's a $1 an hour pay raise.
So,
Second,
you got a CDL, so it's a standard, kind of what we do, $1 an hour. Is there any discussion about that?
does everybody understand what that is? He got a CDL license.
Commercial truck driving license.
So we'll vote, Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Fran,
yes,
Ed,
Yes.
and yes. Bernie.
And the only other thing I was here for is Fred asked me to set in case there's any questions on the bid.
Yeah,
Low
let's
bid
do-
for Elm Street.
Let's do that, accept the low bid for 20 Elm Street.
Because I was involved with that when I was filling in over there. I actually got a couple of bids, talked to some of the contractors. So if anybody's got any questions, hopefully I can answer them.
So this is the roof over there?
It's a new roof, right? Yeah.
Yeah, over at the garage. The low bid came in at 53, I'll have it in front of me. It's in the desk.
didn't we pre-approve a certain amount?
We kind of set a certain chunk of the ARPA money aside, which is more than the bid actually, so, which is a good
The
thing.
low bid is $53,760.
So it's a pretty good price, because the high bid was
70.
Almost 80,000.
78,000 was the high bid. So the roof is leaking and has been for quite a time now. It's actually starting to do some damage to parts of the fascia and everything, and it needs fixed
That needs to be repaired.
immediately.
My only advice, Nate, I talked to him earlier, said that we should, if we move to approve this, we should approve it pending legal review of the contract.
Right, so the bidder and presumably the bid specs didn't contain a contract form. So all you have right now is just like one page from the contractor saying, pay half up front and then half when the job's done, and it doesn't describe anything else.
Okay.
So I've got a fairly simple form contract, and that would just, here's the insurance requirements, and here's your indemnity obligation, and here's the time frame in which you have to actually get the project done, and it just ties it all together a little more neatly. So again, as Mike said, I've just recommended you approve the low bid, subject to approval by the attorney as to the form of contract.
I'll make that motion to accept the low bid for the roof replacement at the DPW garage. It's 20 Elm Street. To be completed by Jeff Rockwell Woodworkers, subject to review with the attorney for.
So to review and approval by the attorney for form of contract.
For form of yes, subject for review by the attorney for form of contract.
I don't think you put the number in.
Okay, and the low bid contract,
53,760.
$53,760.
okay, yeah, the total work price, $53,760. And they're looking for a 50% payment now.
Don't put that piece in.
That's fine, I did not include that last line.
It's details, yeah. We don't know all those details.
That's the stuff.
I'll second that.
Legal contract.
Thanks.
There. My only comment to not add any confusion, that building is 20 Elm Street, this building is now 22 Elm Street.
I noticed that changed on our minutes and stuff.
Separated them, because it's confusing, they were both 20 Elm Street somehow.
Could add DPW garage, don't have to.
Don't have to now,
I actually said it.
we already got a new roof on
Good
this
job.
building, won't even.
Yeah.
Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
and yes. And the only other thing we have Tracy-wise is to bump the budget. Straightforward though, this is, bump the budget 17,000 for payment number 1 for the snow guards. This would be from the ARPA.
So that won't affect the tax base, right?
Right, that's why we bumped the budget, so it doesn't look like we took money out of the budget.
Okay.
So you have to increase it to take it out.
So it's.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Sorry.
Very good, Ed. Things working pretty good tonight, actually. So any other-
Mike, does it have to say that it's coming from the ARPA, or is that not? Just so we're gonna bump it.
That's not a horrible thing to add in there. Yeah, because it doesn't stay.
I'll amend my motion to include that then.
And it would be to bump the DPW budget. Because that's where the building repair comes out. That's why the DPW budget looks so interesting when you look at it in the treasurer's report. Because we paid for this building out there the same way.
DPW does a lot of things.
Yeah. Alright. Is everybody good with that? Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And then yes. So we'll go a little bit backwards. Do we have anything from Joe? I think we do.
We have one thing, it's just more informative than elsewise. He has trying to fill the last 2 COPS grant positions. There were a number of people that were on the civil service list that could do it. A few of them were immediately grabbed. So these are things that we don't want to wait very long on. He has 2 candidates. He's interviewing them now. And by the way, I'm not sure whether that's in our rules that it says that we're supposed to have the committee interview them. But anyways, whether that has to happen also in whatever way, or whether we go by that. He's interviewing them right now, not this moment, and this week, and will have more information for us. But he wants us to be prepared to move on this because I say they're.
And the academy starts very.
The academy starts coming right up. These gentlemen have to finish the academy. They're paying for their own academy. So and I think he likes them, and I think they're good candidates. But once again, we got to find that all out. But I just want everybody to be prepared that he may ask us to do this very quickly.
And these are the full-time academy.
Full-time academy.
Instead of, normally we deal with the part-time academy, so it takes longer.
Yeah.
Like, once we send somebody to when we get them back.
So
it's supposed to be a little quicker.
Yeah.
School.
And I forget all exact details, but sometimes we have to be a partial sponsor on the academy, et cetera, et cetera. So I say and that's coming right up here in August, so he wants us to be aware and ready, or at least thinking about it. That's it for that. I don't think I had anything more. Did you have anything more from me?
That was it. We have anything from the fire chief?
Do not have anything from the fire chief today.
Got anything from the clerk? Much it's just about, what you said, we're just
fine-tuning the budget.
Fine-tuning it. We'll have it all fixed up by Monday. Well, before Monday.
It's in the text,
So that's gonna be a public hearing next Monday?
Yep.
Yeah, continuation.
And we'll have it all posted out there by the end of the week.
We just got the assessment numbers like after we did our first one, so just,
Friday.
nothing really jived at the moment.
Yeah, we got the new assessment last Friday.
Yeah, we're trying to work all that.
The assessment, the village assessment went up a little bit. So that's a good thing for our budget.
$1 million.
Yeah.
Which is like That part's good.
Other than that, Cindy's getting it all input into the accounting software, which was kind of all messed up with moving over here. She banked it.
That was the problem. They didn't transfer all our files with the computers, with the move, and it's kind of got us a little box up on some things.
We changed a lot all at once, buildings and IT and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's
Things are shaking out now and starting to get back to normal. So anyway, that's the story on that. We have a meeting next Monday. Do it up.
7 o'clock usually.
The county has a new day. The county has a different person than they had the previous year, so that was part of a little bit of problem.
Yeah.
They got a new person.
They had to figure out how to do what they had to do.
We were just working all the book out together.
So we're in there. Since we can't approve my spreadsheet, that I do.
It's close.
It's gonna be the same thing in the end, you know, doesn't look as official.
I like yours colors.
I know, I can change numbers and things change, but so. All right, should we talk about long-term community recovery strategy? Pledge and discussion of climate smart communities grant.
Yeah, so at the last meeting, Jamie Burchard gave us a presentation of the 2 different grants that were available. The waterfront plan is more of a long-term strategic plan and then the climate smart communities, which is a 5-year thing that we felt that when we met later, we felt that the climate smart communities was something that we could do with what we have. The proposal that we could take all the existing planning documents and use those with the application to get the proposal would be a 5-year, $250,000 plan out.
It's actually 200.
200,000?
Yeah, the
Okay.
limit's 200, not 250.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right, 200,000, and it's more comprehensive than just the CRS, but the CRS is a big part for our community because it is our flood mitigation response. And we've had a lot of things in our community working towards it to put us in good placement with the people from Cornell that come down and talk to us about our energy usage in the buildings, our history of having the CCA where we had 100% renewable energy. In the DRI grant, we're going to have some parking electric vehicle chargers. We're working on more recreation opportunities and things, the trails with the DRI grant and our parks. And there's the Canwana Food Forest that's going on in that area. That's part of a climate smart community, which is a big part of showing the community involvement that's separate than the public. And so we spoke with Jamie and Julie last week. And let me just invite Julie to talk a little bit about what we spoke of at the meeting. And she sent us a summary, but can you?
Yeah, and Ron was at that meeting too, right? So Ron was at the meeting. So we talked about the pledge, and I don't know if you guys have read the pledge. in terms of, so the big thing about climate smart communities is it's one of the only mechanisms to help fund CRS entry. Because it actually has an action that you can say you want to, you can apply for grant money to fund CRS entry. And New York is just really behind the curve from a lot of other states, so that's a powerful thing. I was reading about climate smart communities, there's actually grants that you can get money back for charging stations. So you may be able to offset, I don't know if there's a match on the DRI charging stations. I don't know if climate smart communities could help with that, but you can't match state with state. So if it's state, then you might not be able to. So
Does the climate smart come from the state or federal?
it's the state.
Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was state implementation of a federal program, but it's New York State. And it basically gives you access to grant monies. Signing the pledge is a non-binding thing. Some communities sign the pledge and they don't do anything with it. My hope is that if you guys sign the pledge, we would do something with it, but it's not like it's a legally binding thing. Right now, there's for a certification program, there's a point system on how they rate the grants. And because we come up as a disadvantaged and a financial hardship community, and because we have the long-term recovery document that was funded by Department of State in 2013, we would go in with 21 out of 100 points before we wrote a word. And if you guys signed the pledge, we would go into evaluation of the grant with 24 out of 100 points. The maximum you can go into it with is 29. So we would go in from a pretty strong position. I want to be able to, if we, you guys agree to do this proposal, to be able to show the state that we're not acting in a vacuum and that we're tapping other state and federal resources to bring to bear to our resiliency. And I had a talk today with somebody from the Corps of Engineers who's one part of the Silver Jackets. Do you guys know what this was new to me? The Silver Jackets, it's FEMA, it's NOAA, it's Army Corps of Engineers, it's a whole bunch of federal agencies. And they meet a few times a year and say, oh, we want to go do this project, and the community doesn't pay anything. It's these federal organizations getting together and saying, here's a need, and here's something we could do. And one thing they do, which they call a non-structural analysis, means it's not building dams, but one thing potentially could be like an assessment of what is the mitigation potential of every house in the village. And that would be completely federally funded. And so we're on their radar now. Next month, they asked if somebody from the village with me could be in their meeting. So if we can, in the climate smart community, say, okay, we're on the radar of the Silver Jackets, we're trying to get in their queue to show that there's multiple agencies that we're trying to leverage. The biggest issue is the match. It's got a 50% match. We can't match with state or federal money. I've reached out to an organization called the Anthropocene Alliance. Laura, you were on that call, right? Were you on the Anthropocene Alliance call? No. So the Anthropocene Alliance is a climate justice organization, and their job is to find you like in-kind matches and help you write grants and offer their services. And pending the outcome of this meeting, there's different strategies that they would pose to us, and it can be pro bono legal services, pro bono media services. So a consultant that I work with who's a planner who does like historic flood resiliency, she offered a one-day workshop pro bono. GIS services from the county, I've asked Elaine Jardine how much that would be. I don't have a number yet. So I'm trying to think as much as I can about what in-kind volunteer labor, any volunteer committee, you get in-kind volunteer time for. So I think.
Julie.
Yes.
Hey, Julie, can I just back up for a minute. If we were
Yeah.
to take the pledge, though, we wouldn't be committed to doing anything, as you said. So it kind of seems like a no-brainer before we get down the road into that other stuff, right?
To pledge,
Yeah.
yes, I would conclude that. And
Yeah.
then, I mean, you do the financial side, and I don't know in terms of local foundations, if you would have other ideas. The thing that I was really wondering is what kind of matching cash is the village able to handle to try, if there's interest, it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing about investing and pulling together a proposal, but knowing if there's enough money that could be put into it to invest. So that's the discussion. It's a huge opportunity. I mean, to me, we could put ourselves on the map as a little community that proactively is taking our resiliency seriously and acting. And we could be a model for New York State who's not taking advantage of CRS and needs to start doing so.
One of the things that came up in the meeting was the rain gauges. We have two gauge, or not rain gauges, but the flood gauge, river gauges. We have two of
Yeah,
them.
river gauges, yeah.
So Monroe County uses the amounts that the fees that they pay towards their match. And so we could see about using our two gauges towards our 50% contribution to.
I guess that's the biggest thing that scares me is the match.
Yeah.
And I will say, I was gonna bring it up later, but there's a NICOM fall training school. One of the tentative agenda items is climate smart communities, the same thing.
Yeah, because it opens a funding door, but, I mean, the other thing is are there any local foundations that we could go to that you guys have ties to try to get the match? Because you just can't have state and federal match. Can we go to different foundations to look for a portion of the match?
I don't know if we can as a village. I don't think we can we?
I don't know, I mean, it depends probably on who the funding agency is and what their requirements are, but, that's where, as there is some local 501c3 that, could be leveraged to act as the, conduit for something like that.
Go through a read.
I can tell you from the perspective of, say, Fannie Hyde, that public safety, which I think this would probably fall under, is one of the key elements to funding. Now, we're small. Fannie Hyde distributes $90,000 a year to charities within the village. So obviously there would need to be more than just that organization.
Should the board, or, I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of discussion that needs to be had and identification of potential, in-kind contribution sources or other groups or, revenue sources. I mean, it doesn't sound like it's the type of thing that the village board is gonna be able to figure out on its own immediately. I know Julie is doing a lot of work here. I don't know who else is supporting you with that, but I can see a committee being formed to very specifically have a discussion and make recommendations as to specific action items, sources, groups to reach out to, so that it's not just Julie on her own, banging around against the flag.
Yeah, Nate, that would be my recommendation. I think that this is the, like the textbook case for, when we should do that type of thing.
And there's only a once a year application deadline, and it's July 29th. So
I don't know if we're gonna make that.
Yeah, we don't.
to submit, because it's the consolidated grant application for the year for New York State. And Jamie Burchard is willing to write, but obviously we have to have our financial ducks in a row for her to make that investment. And the question is, what can we do quickly? Can we spring into action? Is it impossible? You know, what is the assessment?
Well, do you have?
The application's due July 29th. Are we going to try for a July 29th, 2022 application? Or is the sentiment that we don't have enough time, in which case we have to try for July of 2023? Or can we just spring into action and just do it?
Do we have to show that we have a certain amount of money up front before we can put in the application?
That's a fantastic question. And I
mean,
don't know the answer.
If we don't have to prove we have money ahead of time, you know, that we can come up with it after, then.
Let me text Jamie
I
and
guess
ask her.
that is a question, is how legally binding is the application? So if we get awarded,
That's
can
another
we
good
say,
question.
no thanks? I mean, that doesn't look good with the state. Rusty?
Yeah, exactly what I was about to point out. If we go through this process and we do a whole bunch of things, and just like we were talking about with the generators and stuff, and then, and they give it to us, et cetera, and then at the last second we say, we changed our mind, we don't want to do it. Boy, that doesn't go well for anything else ever again. That's not a good play. So here on page 1 of the blurb that we have, it comments about financial model, 50% match, proposed budget, 50K a year. Would that, you've seen this, right? So you know this.
Yeah, I wrote that.
So
But it's actually can only be 40K a year because I realized you can't apply for 250K. You can only apply for 200, but that's a maximum.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we have to apply for that much. What may be more applicable is to say how much match could the village commit to, and can we make a viable proposal based on that match in light of what we could come up with in kind?
Okay,
There's nothing in stone in those numbers.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask her some questions? Yeah, no, just making sure the floor is okay. So I just want to understand a touch of the money stuff. So if the proposed budget was 40K a year, because we can only apply for 5 years for 200K.
Yeah.
Is that how much we're going to come up with, or do we come up with half of that?
We come up with 40, we get 40.
Okay.
I clarified that question today. I was like, does that mean we only need to come up with 20? But no, we come up with 40, they come up with 40.
So we get 200 and we come up with 240 a year for the 200. Okay, I got that piece. We also have a piece down the bottom about doing 2 things. And if we're going to move along on this, we can't do it by ourselves. We would probably have to have somebody such as Jamie Bouchard's firm do it. But there says, it's got red X's about cost for doing it. I don't know how that works.
I mean, the point is, so Hunt does work pro bono for us because there's a history. We have no history with her firm. And at the last meeting, she just said, if you could just kick a couple $100, but I can't tell you guys what to approve. So XXX means, are you willing to put a little bit of money on the table to pay her to prepare the application?
And so I'm just sniffing at that. Are we talking hundreds? Are we talking thousands? Are we talking tens of thousands?
Is what she said. Just throwing her a bone.
Okay, got you there. I'm going to ask another quick question while I'm doing it. And it's not important. I don't want a long answer. I don't want to get a big discussion about this, but I just want a quick question about this point stuff. We want to go in with as many points as close to the 29 out of 100 as we can get. I assume that's what that means. Because if we get over 29, somehow we're not distressed or we can't apply.
No, there's only pre-proposal, that's the maximum number. The rest of the points are based on the text of the proposal.
Okay, so we can only have 29 at most, but it seems that we want to have close to that. We want to have as many as we can get without getting over that, and then.
No, as many as we could get. I mean, you can't get over 29.
Oh, you can't get over 29.
Impossible.
Okay,
right.
All right.
And we could get 24 out of 29.
Okay. And then our mission is to try after that in various ways to get a lot of points.
Which is a very good proposal.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that just helps with that. So what we're sniffing tonight is whether we're gonna sign a pledge, whether we're not, and do we have any idea how long it would take Jamie to do this kind of a thing?
The proposal?
Yeah, so, because it says here, the recommendation is to do it tonight, and
Could she even do it by the 29th?
Yeah, if we approved it tonight, she would do it. The question becomes the whole match issue. And, you know, I don't know if there could be a backup plan of if we throw her firm a few $100s, and if it can't happen for this year, then we sort of agree it'll happen next year. Or if there's some kind of middle way, or I don't know. I mean, I completely understand the financial question.
one of the ways that could be done would be if we asked her to go forward, and then it would be asking her to do a bunch of work for not very much money, with the idea that we don't yet tonight, right now, know about the money. We will have to let you know by July 29th or sometimes close to that, whether we can do that money. You would, if you might have done some of this work for us and we say we can't do that money this year, we gotta wait a year. That might be a way, because we don't know the money yet. Or, I mean, that's if we want to move forward at all. I don't see how we can just move forward right now with $40,000 a year that we don't know about.
Yeah, well, this is the match, but if we can cover it with in-kind services or something.
So that's all but that's all our discussion about how many, Tioga Downs, Hyde Estate, Truman Estate, on and on and on. Can we use them? Can we get them? Will they help us? Can we get money? Can we in kind with various, we have all those ways to look at it, but.
For 5 years, we got.
But we can't figure that out right now.
No, I mean, it takes months to get those applications through for the different grants. I mean, they have certain times of the year when they accept the applications for those grant monies.
For the other people, yeah.
A lot of them we can't apply for either.
Yeah.
We have to have a nonprofit apply.
But just the other clarification is like, I proposed $40,000 a year for 5 years, that maxes it out. If that's not tenable, there's nothing saying that it couldn't be scaled back. We just have to then make sure that we could accomplish.
I think we could do something.
Pardon?
I think we could do something.
And you know, so we could apply for something small and scale the scope to establish the relationship with Jamie and her firm, and then maybe apply bigger. We would just have to then put our heads together about what would that smaller scope be. So, you know, just another thought.
Now, the in-kind services, can that be from different volunteer community organizations?
Yeah.
You know, like the Rotary, Cemetery Committee, the number of people, hours that are put in there.
That's exactly what we have to figure out.
To volunteer time.
Yeah.
Likely, yes.
Volunteer time goes in at $30 an hour. Professionally donated time, so if an attorney donated their time, it goes at their rate.
Oh, I can eat that 40,000 up in no time.
See, come on,
$5 an hour.
Thank you very much.
Put your Kaufman and Gerhardt hat on. Help us out, man. We need you.
I'm on the clock right now.
No, but you have your village hat on. You have to take off your village hat.
Oh,
Gotta put on your Kaufman and Gerhardt hat.
You got something that you want to jump
So professional services,
Jump in.
if they're not, you know, federal or state, if we could get somebody to donate them, we can chew it up pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what kind of stuff you're talking about, but maybe.
Pardon?
I'm not sure what kind of project we're talking about, but if we could get an engineer or somebody like that to donate time.
I mean, honestly, depending on what it is, right? And knowing what I'm getting into, like, I don't know, figure out whether we can figure something out. I mean, that's the type of thing that, we're always happy to try and help out with things.
And it's again, the chicken or the egg thing of you have to know how much you have to know what you can propose.
Right.
But for sure, we could do, I mean, a lot of it, same as CRS, is community education. And, you know, so that can be done. talking about different mitigation options.
I guess, like, does that community education help us get into CRS eventually?
It's all points. Those are, community education is a huge point grab in CRS. Having,
And,
yeah.
and it's easy. The FEMA will send you boxes and boxes of books to give out, which gets you points.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the amount that they will send you is unbelievable.
And if we have a class, maybe it's $30 an hour times the 3 people that teach the class, or I don't know.
Well, that would be, if we can get professionals to donate their services, so the woman who does historic resilience community planning, like she, bills out at $175 an hour, and she said, I'll give you 8 hours.
That helps.
So, it's, if we can just find these things and be creative, we can maybe get Cornell down here to donate time, as long as they're not on the state side of Cornell.
Right.
If they're on the private side of Cornell, historic help, to tie in flood resiliency to historic, and also energy, right? Because it's climate smart communities, so we don't have to just do flood resiliency. So we can maybe get Jeff Tester to come and talk about heat pumps, or, you have all of the energy stuff, and you're gonna have community education for energy and making your houses more efficient, as well as for CRS. And I mean, it's all really important stuff, so we can make our umbrella a little bigger.
Rusty?
Did you want to speak first?
Yeah, when we were, last week we had a discussion with some of the people, and Laura Ortiz from the Army Corps of Engineers for the
Silver Jackets.
For the Silver Jackets, she was on there and she was talking about the education and the matches like that. And part of that was identifying our issues and priorities and creating a plan for us. And interagency coordination, workshops, and discussing this funding, finding some funding opportunities. So as part of putting the grant together and drawing those in, we're going to be able to find potentially some more of those pieces, because they were telling us all the things as we were talking about it, the ways that they could submit and where we could look for like the stormwater management and the rain gauges that Monroe County used to find their matches. So it didn't seem out of, it seemed like a good potential for us that we could reasonably get to.
Rusty?
It seems to me like one of our most important things here is, of course, budget, to get a consultant and get a coordinator, because we're talking about a whole lot of work and a whole lot of stuff that we don't have people trained and ready and able to do this stuff. So yeah, I assume a lot of that money would be about that.
So the way Jamie and I talked about the proposal is it would start out that all of the people money would go to Jamie's firm. And then as the 5 years go by, less goes to Jamie's firm and more goes to the village, as we can identify. So we she has the 5 years to educate the community and wean us off of her, so that she starts out doing everything and by the end we're doing everything. So that was the plan.
Which twists us back to numbers of what's the story, what are we looking at, what are we expecting that, are we expecting to use $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to do that with their firm? That's a piece of the question.
So I guess could we, maybe it's asking too much, but could we get her to come to our July 5th meeting with kind of like a plan of like, what are we looking at?
I think it's fair to ask her to do that, and I can ask her if she's available, but she's probably gonna wanna know how much budget she has to make a plan too. So that means how much you're willing to match. We're back to the chicken and the egg. But can you give me guidelines to give to her?
So what kind of So just so I'm clear, right, so the monies that, like the project, whatever we're talking about, I mean, there's a lot of things that sound like in-kind contributions the village could add to it, but is there like physical infrastructure that would be built as a result of any of this?
So one thing that probably would be purchased is software.
So the reason I'm asking, right, is because if you had to, if it's a project, you know, something that you can bond monies for, we're not talking about a ton of monies, but, you know, you could say the 40,000, what is it, 40,000 a year for 5 years, so $200,000. If there's a thing that you can point to as a result of this that you can finance and spread that out over 10 years or 8 years or whatever it is, you know, I mean, that's your worst case scenario, right? That you gotta come up with all the cash. And if that's something that's palatable to you anyway, then you could just say, yeah, give us a plan for all of it and we'll try to figure out, you know, other sources or in-kind contributions so we don't actually have to borrow. But I'm just trying to think of like a way to cut through it.
Rusty?
So yes, I'm just kind of doing this for Nate's and anybody else's. On our thing here, it says a budget of 50,000 K with a potential proposed budget, which now is 40, would allow us to purchase needed software for program management, hire a consultant to prepare us for CRS, who would educate the community, blah, 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 blah. So it's mostly that.
Okay, so it's not like stuff.
It's not physical stuff.
It's not a ton of stuff. There would be maybe some educational materials,
Yeah.
but, you know, maybe some of the budget would be, I mean, honestly, you're having meetings, just kind of like you would need some sort of refreshment food budget for community meetings, so you can give people coffee and whatever. But there's software, but I don't see a lot of hardware. I had a thought and I forgot it. What was it? I had it.
Once again, our part of the budget is going to be mostly for the consulting service and all that kind of stuff. The in-kind stuff is going to be for all those other things that we might do. Yeah.
But we're not paying the consultant all of the money, right? Then there's gonna be somebody from the village who would be receiving salary because the point isn't to just have the consultant do it for 5 years and then we're on our own. It's for the consultant to set up all of the processes and all of the structure and then train different people in the village.
A coordinator, that's the village.
And have a coordinator whose effort could go up over time as her effort goes down, so we know how to do it. And she would help search for that person. Part of her job would be finding that person.
So I guess the cost could be the match plus another employee.
Well, this would fund part of a person's salary.
It's like professional services instead of an employee.
Well, it would be a combination. So year one would be all professional services. Year two, ideally, you could budget part of somebody's salary and professional services. Year three, more of somebody's salary, less professional services. Year four, more. And year five would all be one person's salary to implement the program.
But this sounds like that implement the program and then to continue the program, that we would have to then have if it was 40,000, we would have to have a coordinator or somebody that's going to do that without any of this grant money. That will be our.
I mean, we know the price of a person is 100,000 plus.
I mean, you need a CRS coordinator to be in CRS. And it's not 100% job, it's part of somebody's job once CRS is established. So the point is to get a lot of the big work done, make it a good system, and then we have 5 years to plan that sustainability. This is what I thought. If we get in the CRS, the county saves money because the county pays a lot for flood insurance. Could we set up a deal with the county that if we get in the CRS, that the county kicks back some of their savings to help pay the coordinator?
That's a good idea.
Because they're net neutral.
Probably unlikely.
Try.
But we were looking at a person to help code. So could this person be a combination?
Exactly, yeah.
Code /
Perfectly.
administrative code / CRS coordinator.
100%. That's like the perfect thing,
Cause
actually.
I mean, we just did the budget, so we're looking at hiring a part-time code secretary.
And you don't even necessarily say the code secretary is that person. I mean, the code, planning department and
Has that task.
has the task, and so anybody who's working in that department, a portion of their salary could be used as matching monies for the task that you're talking about. And heck, if the clerk's office,
And that works.
is getting saddled with some extra legwork on all this too.
Oh, yeah.
Salary does match.
Oh, well, that changes the whole deal.
Salary does match.
We could easily match the 40 grand probably.
If you say that she's training actively $40,000 worth of people time, then that matches.
I mean, all the people in the clerk's office, Meg probably, the two code guys, the new hire.
And that's really the point, is for her to teach them how to do it. And then you still get some salary of a person in addition to that.
Yeah. Rusty?
Fran's been waiting, no, Mike, Fran's been waiting.
Well, a couple of questions. I mean, we do have a lot of volunteers in our community. We're very fortunate. So I mean, like the time that's put in organizing the Strawberry Festival, could that go towards this?
No.
As matching?
I don't think.
Because those are not professional people, they're volunteers.
But the Strawberry Festival
It has to
isn't a
be-
climate action.
It has to be toward the task, like the climate.
Okay, so I mean, it couldn't be like volunteer firemen, the amount of time that's put in there?
Has to be towards the,
Unless they're
Okay,
educating people on
so,
sequence or something.
The application has to go in by July 29th. When is the decision made on that?
Probably the decision would be made, generally speaking, like 6 months later. And then like anything else, you would probably not start it for kind of a year from now.
Okay, so then we would have to come up with the money by the time the grant was awarded?
I would assume, if you don't have the grant,
So
then.
we don't have to have all that money.
I just don't know what you have to attest to now. I have to look into that. So I don't want to speak inappropriately, but if it's salary, if it's person match, it's easier.
Rusty?
so the question that I think we have is, when does Jamie need to know this stuff by in order to have enough time to do this?
Right.
And I know it was kind of implied that it was by tonight, but it's hard for us to give it to her tonight. When's her drop dead date in order for her to do this for us and get it in by the 29th? Do we not need to know that? Yeah.
We do. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
less worried about it now if we can apply people's time.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd like to know that a little more definitively.
Yeah.
I mean, what about the volunteer time for cleaning up the farm park?
It has to be about this climate stuff.
If we could somehow spin it toward climate.
My experience with these kind of grants is that they're often highly malleable in terms of what in-kind is.
Right.
If they want to get the grant out, they try to make the in-kind as loose as possible.
And like I said, this is a topic at the NICOM convention, so it makes me think that the state kind of wants to push it.
The other thing I wanted to mention too, there's a long-range LWRP, local waterfront development revitalization plan that was done, about 20 years ago. And that should count in terms of points also, because it includes Owego and the rest of the county.
Speaking of plans, right, so the comprehensive plan for the village, I wonder if updating that in light of, climate would count, because that's on both sides.
The one that I think for sure would is the emergency remediation plan that's done every 5 years through Wendy Walsh.
Yeah, the hazard mitigation.
Hazard mitigation, yeah.
That should count too.
Matching, update all the plans.
Yeah.
So that one gets updated, yeah, when we are.
That one has to be updated to get reimbursed from FEMA in case of a flood.
Right. We do that
There's
anyway
a lot of
in so many
in-kind
years.
to do.
And the comprehensive plan is a lot harder to redo.
It is, it's a lot bigger.
Mhm.
So I just asked her, the next meeting is in 2 weeks, I asked her if she could come.
Yes, July 5th.
I have the 3 little dots. And I forgot my phone.
Backspace.
I forgot my phone, so.
Backspace.
And she asked if it would be possible if the fee for her to prepare the proposal could be $500, if that's possible. And now and so she's still typing.
Are you asking her that drop dead date?
Yeah, and that, I mean, that's because what we have to realize is the longer we make her wait, the less likely we have a strong proposal, right?
Right.
Because we're giving her less time and we're not the only thing on her
I guess.
agenda. Aha! Okay, no, wait. Okay, so 2 weeks from now, God, boy, that's tight.
What she said?
2 weeks from now is the 5th of July, that's not even 3 weeks. So if the village approved on July
4 days
5th,
to the 29th. Juke. Yeah, Pepsi's in the refrigerator.
You need this to get through the door. You want it?
Sure. Well, kind of.
Scan this, don't leave them in there because you'll rock us all out. Just scan that to the door and then you're good.
So it sounds like tonight, if we're interested in doing it, we need to approve paying her to get this organized.
Well, I guess that was gonna be my question. Would she be willing to work, we'll call it at risk, if we approve like a $500 fee to her? And she comes in 2 weeks, and maybe in 2 weeks we say, we can't do it.
well, if you come for 2 weeks, then you would basically be paying her for her time to come here for a meeting. You pay her the $500.
That's what I'm saying. Like to work from now until, like work on the application between now and then
Okay. So she said she would come in 2 weeks.
without complete final approval.
So we say okay, let me ask. If the
Can we
village
get the information
approves
from her without her
to
coming?
pay you 500 now, and you
No, I mean, talking to them, I don't see an issue making the match. But they can't like vote on that right now, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So the other thing she said that she does is she uses $30 an hour. She can use the volunteer rate of $30 an hour for the time of village employees. So she said she uses the volunteer rate with another project with elected officials and highway superintendents. So we can, if it's Meg, she's training Meg, she's gonna train Meg at $30 an hour of in kind.
Okay.
You know, or if she's training me, I'm a volunteer at $30 an hour.
Right.
So, so you want me to ask her?
I guess if she'd work on the application, like, I don't know if the right word's at risk, but at risk between today and 2 weeks from now.
Between now and July
If we agree to pay her
5th for
the fee.
We'll give her 500 no matter whether we do it or not.
Right.
She said she'd do the application with $500.
True.
I think that the thing is, would she be willing to start the application now, work on it with the idea that maybe we will not do it in 2 weeks, and we will at least give her $500 for doing that?
Which, I mean, she agreed to do the whole thing for $500.
Right, right.
I guess there's.
We're just trying to.
There's no risk.
We're just trying to cover this.
Just a
Yeah.
motion to authorize her for $500 to put the application together, you know, in draft form or whatever, and then you you guys need to get her whatever information, and maybe you decide eventually, actually, we can't do it this year. So she'll put it together for next year then.
I like that. So what I think we could do is adopt the pledge tonight because that's 3 points.
Yeah, I don't see no issue with that.
And then also just, we could do the $500 payment to get us prepared for as much as possible for a presentation at the June 5th, where we can give her more information as well. July 5th, okay. And then, so we're basically saying that we're really looking to do it with the $500 commitment, and then we'll really decide on
Yep, that's what we just.
before the
That's what she's checking on
submission
right now.
day. Yeah, okay,
Kinda like
that sounds
plan.
good to me.
How about, does that sound like
Yeah, it sounds like
a
a
way to
reasonable
proceed?
approach.
Are they gonna be two motions or one motion?
Let's do
Let's
two
wait and see,
different ones.
let's wait and see what she says.
Yeah.
I think we have to have
Let's
separate.
put it-
The pledge
We
is
can do the
one.
pledge, I mean, that's.
Where is the pledge? Is it some-
So
It's
the
in there.
pledge, there's a link to it right there.
You gotta click the link on that.
Oh, I got a link there.
Yeah, I know.
Paperclip link.
But like I said, it's not like binding, it's.
The pledge is okay. You can do that.
No, and the other thing, I mean, I absolutely hope this goes forward this year, but the way you get beyond 24 points is if you adopted the pledge and like established a committee and had a meeting for a year, then you get 8 points or something, right? So if you adopt the pledge now, it gives you a little more time.
So it might
Because
not
that
be-
was like, the minimum is 3 points, which is just you adopted the pledge.
Might not be horrible if it, so,
Again, it seems like a no-brainer to adopt the pledge.
yeah,
Yeah, especially since you guys have done a lot of it already.
right, and maybe we can adopt it.
So what does it entail?
So I could read it,
Uh,
or,
Is it long?
yeah, can you display it on the screen?
Oh, God,
And I
that's-
could
I
just
won't be able to
read
read
the pertinent part?
That's an interesting idea. If you have a
This
website,
whole thing or just the top piece?
Oh, yeah, just go to,
Whereas
Just the whereases.
hold on, let me try and find it.
The beginning is just saying like, you
yeah,
know,
if you
what
just
it's
Google
developed
Climate
for.
Smart Communities Pledge, I'm,
Let me see it.
Yeah, it's not terribly.
Whereas,
Too
be it
long.
resolved. I want the bottom piece, be it resolved in order to reduce.
okay,
greenhouse
do you wanna know what the link is? CSC model oh shoot, it gives you a document. If you do climatesmart.ny.gov, that's the climate smart one word, climatesmart.ny.gov.
Hold on, I gotta get to the thing here.
Can I read a little bit of it?
We got all these new computers.
Sure.
There's a preamble, there's a whole bunch of whereases, and then at the bottom it says, it is hereby resolved that the village of Owego, in order to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to a changing climate, adopts the New York State Climate Smart Communities Pledge, which comprises the following 10 elements. Build a community, decrease energy use, shift to clean energy, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a generic thing.
But those 10 have to be adopted verbatim.
Yes, no, but I'm saying, no, we'll do all that, but there's nothing there
Right.
that's controversial at all.
Here, anybody
Take
else
the
wants to
pledge,
see
right
them?
here.
I have them on my computer. Do you wanna see the 1 through 10?
So in step 1, hit the blue area.
Yes.
Okay, hit that. Then hit download or view download. There you go.
I think we're doing a lot of it already.
Then they can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh my God. This is a brand new computer, huh?
Oh, okay,
Oh,
there you
yeah,
are.
Tom's brand
You're
new.
there. Yeah, the model CSC, right where you were going. Oh, yeah, yeah.
There it is, okay.
Oh,
Ask me.
ask me later.
Yeah, so this is all new stuff here.
There you go, you got it.
Perfect, okay.
Let me share my screen so I can see it.
That's probably like, I already found it.
Yeah, he's probably Googled it.
He's got it in his email last week.
So,
All right, so here's the pledge.
I'll just sort of read it out loud and make a motion, okay?
Just read this.
Resolved, our motion to adopt the
Oh.
budget as presented.
As presented, since it's on the screen.
From the
motion.
hereby resolved, the pledge is presented.
Yeah, you can read that part.
Yeah, there's the thing.
But I just read that and it just has that in the 10 points.
Yeah, okay, so I hereby resolve that the Village of Owego adopt this Climate Smart Communities Pledge model resolution with the New York State Climate Smart Communities Pledge, which comprises the following 10 elements. 1, build a climate smart community. 2, inventory emissions, set goals, and plan for climate action. 3, decrease energy use. 4, shift to clean renewable energy. 5, use climate smart materials management. 6, implement climate smart land use. 7, enhance community resilience to climate change. 8, support a green innovation economy. 9, inform and inspire the public. 10, engage as an evolving process of climate action.
I particularly,
What, Ed?
I like number 9.
Me too.
It's number 9.
So we have on
Oh,
the,
inspired. That's gonna be good.
we have on the thing,
Inspire.
we have it on the whole thing, and it says on the top, model resolution, it has the preamble, it has the whereases, and it has the bottom. We should vote to adopt that model resolution pledge.
I would make that motion.
That was the motion.
That was the motion she made.
Thank you.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
Ed did, okay.
All right. Let me go back to the meeting here. I'll stop. Okay. So we have that. Let's vote on that. Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And yes from me. And then the second thing, should we vote to give, I forget her name,
Jamie Burchard.
Jamie some money and have her continue the application and present to us next.
What's the name of her firm?
I knew you were gonna ask me that.
I can't say it.
Barton
And, yeah.
Say, I didn't hear.
Liquid, okay, Barton, and I can spell it.
Yep, spell it.
So we agree to give
Spark.
her $500 for the complete application for the grant?
We just spell
Well,
it.
to continue the development of the application.
Well, I think what Julie said is she agreed to do everything needed to apply for the grant for $500.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, we can agree to that. We're not agreeing to submit it yet, but we're agreeing to let her prepare.
You're agreeing to pay it. That's all you're agreeing to.
First name is this.
Jamie, yeah, I got that. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to hire Jamie Burchard for $500 from Barton and Lagunitas. And to prepare our grant submission for the Climate Smart Communities.
Second?
Rusty seconded that. Okay. Any discussion on that? Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And yes.
Thank you.
Couldn't tell if Ed was frozen or just really still.
Yeah, I would say it would still be a good idea to have
That's the best
her
we can do
come
at this moment.
July the 5th
It's something.
and clarify
Yeah.
everything as far as
That's a
what we
Yep.
need to do for in-kind points and so on, so we can start looking at all the different departments of the village.
So over the next between now and when she comes back, I would like to meet with whoever of you wanna sit down and with Jamie, if we can just schedule a call and start to kind of get to, now we're at a time to get to the nuts and bolts of it.
Right. Rusty?
Yeah, Ron did it before. Do you think Ron would be interested again?
Probably. Ron and Laura?
Laura, certainly.
Just because we can only have
3 at most.
Yeah, 3
Yeah.
trustees. If we get 4, we gotta advertise a meeting.
Yeah, no, so yeah, that's great. So I'll
I
be
mean, you can
in
meet with
touch.
Jamie separately too.
And Ron and Laura are the people who were there last time and have the most
Right. Makes sense.
knowledge of it. And the mayor, of course.
They're your committee, I guess.
Pardon?
They're your committee.
They're my committee.
Maybe we have to have those different
Yeah.
reports together too
Yeah,
before
oh,
the grant
Julie,
application.
well, thanks for
At
all the work, Mayor. I'm saying that, Mayor, I'm saying you, the Mayor, thanks a lot for all, having me do that committee and all that work.
Thank you.
No, I'm joking, because you just gotta sign all that work.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. I'm,
Do we get points if we establish a climate smart committee?
you get, yes, well,
Like if we did that today, would that get us more points toward the 29?
I think you have to have met for a longer time, but somebody has to just take the action of like sending into the state that it was done. And then I think there is a naming of a committee, but I have to look and see if you can get any points for that now.
Well, let us know by next time, because we.
I will do that.
Official committee.
Yeah.
Again, it seems like, there's no real cost to establishing a committee. And if Julie could get back to us on that by the next meeting, seems like that ought to be something easy to do also.
Yeah,
Are there takers? Does this have to be out of the board or out of the community?
I don't know, that's a good question.
Probably could be out of
Who knows, you can't have more than
Yeah.
3 on the board, and you don't wanna burn them out.
So it's really a community. It's maybe like one
Volunteer, Kevin
board
Moore?
member plus
Volunteer.
community?
Kevin's
So
volunteer.
that's a thing for
Everybody in the room.
Julie to, or the
Yeah.
committee is to, that woman to come to the board at the next
I could
meeting
be
and
there.
say, here's a good community.
There's, I can't find it now, but there's a YouTube video on how to apply for this grant that I'll send to everybody that's got whatever it is, internet. And YouTube videos, it's easy enough to
Oh, that's
watch,
awesome.
you don't have to.
Yeah, we'll send it to Mike and he can forward it to.
Mike,
I'll send it
yeah,
everybody.
I was looking for Mike's email, but the new emails aren't on my.
Oh, it's easy now, it's
I'll
mayor
find-
at villageofowego.ny.gov.
Yes.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, I've emailed it, but I'll.
You got my real one too.
I'll send it to you tomorrow.
Okay.
I want to say tonight, but I'm tired.
And the next meeting is July 5th,
Yes.
is that right?
It's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday again. 'cause
Yeah.
it's on the 4th.
July teen.
All right, a couple more things here. I think we wrap that up. Treasurer's report, everybody get the treasurer's report?
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions on the treasurer's report?
As usual, up to snuff for you.
Yeah, it's looking good, actually. Oh, yeah, you don't get the email.
Will we approve the treasurer's report?
Everybody's doing well. All the departments are doing well. General fund looks good, the EMS fund looks really good, and the sewer fund looks good. Yeah. And we're like down to, so the treasurer's report's always a month behind, so there's still 2 more months in the fiscal year. But everything's looking good. So we got a motion and a second, and discussion. Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
and yes. Next thing is minutes.
For minutes of May.
June 6th.
June 6th, Ron's had in correction for Jamie's name correction, and with that, I motion to approve is submitted.
I have a couple of corrections too.
Oh,
Want to do them before you do it or no?
yeah.
So there are two, Rodney, you can see mine if you want. There are 2 places where it says it's Jane Bouchard and it should be Jamie on those 2 spots for that. I don't know if you want to hear these now or not, but there's another spot here where it says resolved by motion by trustee Spencer and seconded by trustee Spencer on page 6. So yeah, you gotta watch her. Right below that, there's a resolved motion by Pelton, seconded by Fuller to amend the thing for a part-time clerk at the village court. And then right below that, it says resolved, same thing, resolved motion by trustee Fuller to amend it, and then says what it is. So it's, there's 2 of that. Give me just a minute. So I've got a couple other changes that are just like that.
Okay,
Guys,
just give
if you want to approve them with those, I'll give them to Rodney.
As marked up.
Yeah.
Rusty.
Okay.
Pool
I'll
transfer.
give them to him. You're not gonna put them all right there right now. I'll explain them. Okay. So
Motion by Laura.
to approve the minutes with the changes that I have for Rodney,
And hers, yeah.
a second.
Any other comments on the minutes? Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
and yes for me. Next thing, trustee reports. Rusty, what you got?
I want to just speak for a moment to some of the things that I was talking before about the continued festivals. We like them, they're nice for the village. Residents and businesses, apparently, maybe not to the ladies here, but expressed concern to me about continually having food vendors in here selling food, and the businesses here suffering because of it. And I don't know so much necessarily about vendors, but we are continuing to add more and more of the things now, more and more street closures, more and more vendors, more and more food trucks, et cetera, et cetera. There is some degree of concern about it. The idea that porch idea is fine. The idea that we need to close it cross street, other than if you actually had to have vendors and food trucks, doesn't need to be done. Page Street is closer to the downtown, which makes sense in its own way, although it's the main workaround for the village. Ross Street is farther away, blah, 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 but that's a street that doesn't get used very much. I'm just not a big fan of closing the streets and having a bunch of I'm a big fan of having fun and doing things and making people happy. I'm a big fan of having outside vendors and certainly outside food coming in. I don't know. I just I want to say it again. I want to say Halloween is one thing with the kids on Lake Street, but anyway. So I wasn't prepared to close a street for the Porch Fest. Sounds great. I'm not particularly prepared to close a street for it that doesn't necessarily need closing, so that we can have a street fair on that street. Don't know what anybody else thinks about that.
Anything else?
Well, I think that we should not close on Lake Street, for sure. You know, for that, I mean, that gets the most, disagreeable nature when we close up traffic to Lake Street.
Of course, that's not for the Porch Fest. That's just for the
I'm
Halloween.
saying for the Porch Fest, we should not. And, you know, I understand that maybe one of the, one way or other cross streets between Main and Front, they might close to traffic, just so, you know, for foot traffic.
The reason they're doing that is to have a vendor street, to have a festival on that street is why they're doing it. It's not because they need to walk over there. There's sidewalks, you can walk over there without any problem without that. It's for that specifically. The closing of one of those streets or both of those streets.
So bring in food trucks is what they said.
Food trucks and little vendor stands.
Crafts probably, I don't know.
Well, maybe one of the solutions to that is, at least to the outside food vendor issue, is, you know, to offer it first, any of the places, to the food vendors within the village.
Yeah.
And not bring in outside vendors for food.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I was on HOM, that's what I'd do, is give them first dibs.
Yeah.
Set up a tent here or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just the way my brain is thinking of, yes, Porch Fest is nice. You got the music, you got the porches. And when you're not listening to music on a porch, you're going to downtown Owego to go to our restaurants there and eat at our restaurants and do our things there.
Yeah,
Even if they,
Yep.
even if
Yeah,
they were,
That's the way I see it.
even if it
Yep.
was a fair kind of thing, but your tents were originals and Mario's and Cellar.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't want to come up to Broad Street and do that because they're right downtown with their place.
Well, the Porch Fest won't be down on Lake Street. It's
Right,
gonna be residential homes
Right,
where the bands sit on the porch and play and the people are out on the lawn and the street.
yeah, but I was just saying, and then when they want something to eat, they go to our downtown, which is the reason we have these festivals, is we have the Strawberry Festival so that people will see that. Did somebody just say, oh, and they see that thing, that pizza place, and they want to come back to that pizza place. So I want them to come downtown to get your food, or the Legion's partway up, or the Elks is partway up. I want them to go there and get their food. It's just,
and I don't know, I mean, I'm not organizing a festival, but I don't know if the idea is to have you like go up to a tent, get a slice of pizza and go to, what fit Phoebe's front yard, and listen to a band with your slice of pizza or something.
in fact, I thought I saw something here said about maybe having food at people's houses. I don't know.
I don't know.
But I'm just voicing my
It'd be nice if
concern
those
about that.
pizzas and, food was local village food.
So, it's something to think about.
Anything else?
No, I'm sorry, that's it, thanks.
Laura?
Nothing for today.
Okay. Fran?
I don't have any report on the EMS. I called, did a great job. And cemetery committee, the only thing to report right now is, this, coming Saturday, June the 25th is a work day up in Evergreen from 9 to noon. And, I know I've mentioned it a few times, but, we really need to address the open meetings law. I made copies of what we got at NICOM to give to the people. I think Laura doesn't have one.
Nate just reminded me today, it's extended through July
14th, I think.
This is the
Okay,
the
well, we
state
gotta get our
emergency.
law together before July 14th, or we won't have a video conferencing.
Well, the old
I don't know if you wanna copy
methodology
that.
for video
Yeah.
conferencing still applies, but I would, if the intent is to allow up to 2 members of the village board or your planning or zoning boards continue to attend remotely, then the board should probably adopt a local law policy procedure regarding that.
So the emergency, which we knew they were gonna, the governor extended that another.
She did extend it through July, I think it's
July 14th-ish.
July
And it's
14th?
depending on the caseload. She might continue to.
Well, they keep doing it.
extend it.
They keep extending it the night before, you know what I mean?
It's very annoying.
Well, we need to start working on the law, that's the thing.
Yeah, so there's
Get
already
our
some,
act together.
there's some cookie cutter laws.
The law is,
Other names.
there's a model law, it's very easy to swap the name in, so if you wanted to schedule a public hearing on the draft law for
Yeah.
the 5th, then we can certainly do that and have the draft law to Rod to, disseminate to
Will you put that
everybody.
together, Nate?
Yeah, we've done a dozen of them by now. I mean, they're
Okay.
very straightforward.
You've been doing them for other communities.
And then the Committee on Open Government has a model policy that I would say, take a look at it, and I can circulate that to everybody. And then if you have any, the policies are meant to be tailored to your individual community, specifically what constitutes extraordinary circumstances justifying remote attendance. But it's meant to be things that are significant or unexpected events that are affecting a trustee or a board member.
Yeah, like Charles is in the hospital.
Charles being in the hospital, he could attend
be
from the
online.
hospital. Yep.
I go on vacation in October, I could go online.
Well, that is precisely the question for the board to decide, does a vacation constitute a significant or unexpected event for purposes of
Meeting a quorum.
meeting?
Meeting
You
online.
have to have a quorum physically present.
Right,
Yeah, there has to be quorum here.
Yeah, quorum here, only 2 people can attend remotely.
And NICOM had recommended to us at our last meeting that we make that law vague. So that we have a lot of wiggle room in that law.
Yeah, so the
So
law.
don't try to list the 19 things, make it vague.
Because the policy is gonna say what extraordinary circumstances are. You can change the policy by resolution, which is where, the law is vague, it just says, you can do video conferencing, we're gonna adopt a policy. And then you're gonna adopt a policy. You can do both by the July 5th meeting, because, well, all right, I say that, today's the 21st, Rod's gotta get a notice of public hearing out in the next, 3 days, which shouldn't be a problem. I think the paper can publish it by then if we're using the daily.
No, well, no.
Use the courier.
Can't use the courier because they come out tomorrow.
So then,
I put a big difference.
right, because that's the alternate official paper.
You send something down tomorrow, you send us something, then we'll send it to us.
Great, thank you.
And just the last little piece on that.
So if we want to do that, we gotta do
Motions.
But also the last little piece on that, if we don't get it for the July, the July 16th meeting, the world doesn't end.
No,
We
it
just,
would
then
just
we,
mean
then,
that
then we'll just,
we would revert back to, so if the emergency ever ends and they don't keep extending it, it would mean that the trustees would have to be here. We can still run the virtual option for the public or department heads or whoever.
and once again, we should be making the law, we should be changing it, but if we don't get it in a public hearing in time, we don't get it in the paper in time, the world doesn't end if we're one meeting off, but still do it.
I'll make a motion, we schedule a public hearing for
For the video conferencing.
the video conferencing law
For July 5th.
for July 5th at
Midnight.
7:05,
Oh,
I guess, because we have no,
Well, the budget
The
is
budget.
next week.
That'll be done.
budget's on.
It's gotta be done before.
No talking in the middle of motion.
7 o'clock.
She's rambling through her brain.
The budget has to be done.
Okay, 7 o'clock.
And Fran said,
I'll second.
Oh, Ed, look at that, Ed, from online.
I'm voting against that.
all right, I got you.
All right, we'll vote on that. This is just schedule a public hearing. Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
and yes.
Okay, I'm all done.
All right,
Thank you.
Ed, you got anything?
Nothing from me.
Good. Charles is doing well. He was in rehab. He's supposed to be let out today. I don't know. He made it home, but looked like he was doing good. Hopefully he'll be with us next week, maybe for the budget. Communications. I got some stuff. So the NICOM Fall Training School, which is September 12th through 16th. Will be held in Saratoga. If anybody wants to go, you gotta let us know. It's a whole week, so it would be,
You said 12th through 16th.
yeah, September 12th through the 16th. And there's a lot of classes. A lot of them look pretty good, actually.
What, like what?
Well, there's one on the climate smart communities. There's one on open meetings. There's one on treasurer duties. If you go on their website, you can see the whole agenda. And there's
5 days. worth of crap.
Yeah, 5 days.
5 days, 87 classes.
I put you out a copy and put it in your classes.
Okay.
So give it a look over. I'm sure it's expensive.
Yeah. Do that too.
I'm sure it's expensive to go, but it looks like a lot of good classes.
And one could pick and choose. You don't have to go for 5 nights. You could go for.
Yeah, I don't know how it works. Sometimes you gotta go for the,
Oh, gotcha.
the last one you had to go for the whole thing, I think.
Or see what Fran went.
But anyway,
I'll see, I'll look at it.
yeah, check it out. It's at the Hilton in Saratoga. Sounds like a nice
I
time.
might have points for some free nights.
I've stayed there before when I went to Saratoga. Other communications, the monster trucks would like to come back. They've been in contact with me. They would like to give them a price to rent the fairgrounds.
For when?
They didn't tell me that yet.
Oh,
I was gonna do some research and figure out maybe what a real number should be.
At the last meeting, we rescinded the
That's correct.
form.
Which I let them know that they're gonna have to have a contract between them and the board in order to rent it. And they've already rented the parking from the fair board for a set amount, which I made sure to let them know that's completely separate.
Not in the fairgrounds.
And not the venue that they maybe thought it was. So they're on board. The parking is the field, and then the fairgrounds is the performance area there with the grandstand stuff. So cleared that up. Rusty?
I would like to talk with, again, obviously, we're gonna do a bunch of these things with our Department of Public Works Superintendent and others, because I believe that the condition they left our infield in last time was unsatisfactory.
That's all stuff that needs to go in the contract.
And so I'm not pleased with that. I would like to know how much they paid or offered to pay that little place across the river.
So that's some of my research I'm doing.
I would like to know that,
So far,
because we think it might be $7,000 or $8,000.
So far, I've called some other large venues in our area that put on shows, like the arena and stuff.
Yeah.
I got some advice of kind of what to do, so I'm gonna call some other places.
So for a monster truck show that they had in the arena, or just?
No, but just how they book in general, you know what I mean, because we don't do this stuff.
I'd like to know about that.
They suggested maybe talking to other places that the monster truck.
That would be the research.
that would be after the fair, right?
Yeah, it's, last year was like in the fall.
So they haven't given you a date yet, or?
The fair board may have a date because they already rented their parking area.
Oh, right. Yeah, you said SDPW, but also the police chief.
Yeah.
too.
Well, absolutely.
Last year,
And that was,
they
that was
did
one
have
thing,
some chase.
that was one thing that was suggested was in the contract that we make, we can specify things like security.
They pay for
vendors
their
and-
own security. They pay for,
Well, so the last time they did their own security, it didn't work out.
Didn't work very well.
But we can specify that they use our security and they pay for it.
okay.
I'm not very interested in having the monster truck here for less than a fortune.
See where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, that's coming. I'll have to get with Nate and we'll loop in with the monster truck.
So did the fair board contact you or us or anybody about that before they rented the parking to them?
No, but they only rented their fields.
I understand. How's that good neighbor policy working with them so far with us? Cooperation and et cetera, et cetera. Okay.
Comments on that?
Okay.
That's
You
right.
go okay with the Strawberry Festival?
Yeah,
Clean up and all that?
yeah. We don't really have any incidents. So it's all good. Besides parking and stuff like that. Did everybody receive this nice letter from INHS?
That shows you mine. I have it back there.
Pass it out. Can I have a copy of it? It's like Rusty's.
You're gonna read it?
No.
I think we should read it out loud. Anyway, we received a letter from INHS, basically withdrawing all of their applications for Temple and Liberty Street. They would like us to, at the least, fix our zoning maps and or actually apply the zoning that maybe we want places legally and correctly. That's just the letter.
And we certainly can,
If it's a neighborhood.
Okay.
Tioga County will, I assume will make the GIS maps for us. We certainly ought to be looking at all of our zones, et cetera, and make sure that, save the big map in the other room or whatever we do, send it to Tioga County, say, this is the up-to-date, this has the new office park thing over here, this has the R3 that was never over here, so that those maps are reasonably accurate.
Or, I mean, they have a point, we should have a map that's accurate.
Yep. So that would certainly be a thing that we would do, is update that. Get them, okay?
Get the hard copy.
Yeah, it does say they are, that they would like to work with us in the future if we can sort out our zoning problems.
Should be able to fix some map very soon.
So, anyway,
Would love that they work with us.
Yeah.
With us is always a nice thing.
give them a call, they're nice people.
Can I see that before you take off?
Our DRI committee meetings will be July 18th. I found that meeting after after I told everybody. They start at 3.
July 18th. You know what day of the week that is, Mike?
It's our second July meeting.
Second Monday. At 3.
They start at 3, the parking's at 3, and then I forget whether it's Marvin Park or Art Park first. I think it's Marvin Park. And then Art Park, I don't remember. But anyway.
Fran and I will be, we're staying tonight. We'll be here. Waiting
Oh,
for
okay,
it
perfect.
next till then.
Mayor's report, I don't really have anything besides what I just gave. Last thing's public comment. I forgot it, me too. Still serving food at the Rainbow, because I didn't get dinner.
Might make it.
Probably.
All right, no public comment? All right,
We'll do adjourn.
item 5.
Thanks, Ed.
Everyone.